So what was your experience second time around? You think you'll remember it?
I have a resentment toward a person, and I want to love her and be good with her and forgive her. But when I started thinking about her, I got this fluttering in my chest.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's due to security or whether I don't know those three things.
Great.
And so what? So.
You don't have to. That's the whole beauty. This is the good news. And if you really get this, you'll understand welcoming. You don't have to know anything. What you know is there's a fluttering in your chest. You have the added awareness that there may be a resentment with another person. But we don't have to. It's not a puzzle to be figured out up here. It's an experience to be lived in down here. So what we're doing is we're feeling and breathing into that fluttering in the chest. We're welcoming it, and we're turning it to God, trusting that God can do for us what we cannot do for ourselves.
So this is done in retrospect. It seems to me that the intense feeling comes when things are happening and you don't have the luxury to all of a sudden, I accept, I do this, I do that.
Right.
Because you've got, whether it's anger or lust or gluttony or whatever, you are right there.
Yes, that's welcoming. She's tying it to thinking of someone else to bring it up, but what you are saying is vital, Carol. Welcoming has to be now.
But I don't have time because the situation doesn't go away from me. I'm forced, so to speak, to be there, whether it's an argument or a food table full or, lust.
Exactly.
I can't get away from it.
You don't have to.
So how do I all of a sudden think? How do there's a lot of thinking going on here.
No, I'm sorry, there shouldn't be a lot of thinking going on here.
Okay, go away thinking.
No. You're engaged in what you're doing. You're engaged in what you're doing. Okay? And someone is coming up to you, like describe a situation, like you're serving or somebody's bugging you or an argument is happening. Like, give me a situation that you think welcoming would be helpful in, but you can't stop in the midst of.
I'm having an argument with my husband.
Okay, where's he? Okay, so we can demonstrate.
He's coming back. I have gone like this,
Yes.
ballistic.
Okay.
But I can't walk
Maybe I
away
have.
because that won't make.
This is the beauty of it. Okay, this is what's so important. You don't have to walk away. What you do is you take a breath. I heard it. Okay. At times we have the luxury of knowing. At other times in the heat of the moment. But remember, most of the time we're unconscious. Okay? So when we're into unconsciousness, you don't even know there is prayer or God or welcoming. It doesn't exist. What I'm hearing you say is, now, when I'm in the midst of an argument, and I am conscious that I'm in the midst of an argument. Do you know that difference? That's a huge difference. When I'm reactive, I'm not conscious. It's like you push that, I did that. What's happening with welcoming and with these prayer practices, you did that and I'm doing this. But I'm aware, wow, look at that, I'm going to hit him. Do you know the difference? Do you see that as a miracle? The awareness is all of a sudden there that something is going on, and the kicker is, I have a choice. Breathing into, coming into being, welcoming, what I have found is often that I do need to speak up and say something. When I speak out of anger, in anger, do people hear you? No. But anger tells you something, and I often need to be pushed into a corner to speak up because I don't want to. Believe it or not, I'm conflict avoidant. So the anger keeps coming and coming and coming, but the difference is it's letting go enough to be human enough to say whatever you need to say. So it might not always be pretty. It might be stop it, or leave me alone, or I can't do this right now, or whatever it is. But it's allowing grace and God into the moment and into, He's already there, or she or it or whatever it is. It's already there, but we're so engaged in that automatic response that we're not there. So welcoming begins to bring us into the equation. Did you ever have it where you got up in the morning, like my mornings? I would get up, I would do my Lexio, I would do my sit, I would drive to work, and I could get into something, and you would never know that I started out the morning in an hour and a half of prayer. Exactly. I used to just tell people, can you imagine me if I didn't pray? But it would be like, where did it go? Where did all that, I was doing everything I had felt I had control of before I entered the maelstrom. Well, because consciously I was choosing the values and I was doing everything I could. What I began to switch, and this is the switch that Thomas Keating helped with. Everybody who pushes your buttons is your greatest gift. It's exactly what Gus told us. So that person that drives you up a wall, they're God's gift to you, not the reverse, because how else can we get to our stuff? If we're around sweet people that are sweet and love us, they're easy. They're like peanut butter and jelly. It's the people that drive us nuts where the healing is usually really happening. So begins to look at it that when it's coming up, I'm at least aware in the process that I can breathe and welcome, and in a pinch, I let go of the desire to change. That's the pinch one. Trusting that God is doing and in the process. So it is meant to be aware, but awareness is like any other muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. You know that scripture, we just had it. Those who have will be given more, and those who, the little they have will be taken away. I always thought that was nasty until I looked at it from a level of awareness or consciousness. If I do not actively use and choose to use the consciousness I've been given, which I didn't tell you this little piece. Carl Jung described it this way, that people are 10% conscious and 90% unconscious. And he said Jesus Christ was a fully conscious human being. Mary Mrozowski put it at about 6% and 94%. But let's go with that 90-10, okay? That means for 10 things I have done this morning, I am fully conscious and aware of my motivation for doing one of them. The other 9 have mixed motivation. And the gospel message is what? Repent, change the direction you're looking for happiness, and changing your motivation. So the more I'm willing to do that, the more I become aware of all, not all at once, but piece by piece. So in the midst of the argument, all of a sudden it might be like, wow, look at this. Did you ever have that where all of a sudden you kind of, it's like you wake up and it's like, okay, I might want to argue, I might not, but I don't have to. Under the false self, you have to do it. It's like you don't have a choice. This becomes you have a choice. So it takes a lot of practice, and I'm not saying that everybody will go out from here and all of a sudden you'll get hit by something and the first thing that'll pop in your head is welcome, welcome, welcome. Because it's not that kind of stuff. It's nitty-gritty gory. And what I have found is especially some of my hardest pieces and biggest healings have been when welcoming has driven me to speak in anger. I mean, to speak about what the anger is teaching me. Not to say, but those are the hard things for me. The stuff I didn't want to say that I found I had to say. So it is meant to be. You can't do it in a vacuum, but what I am saying is sometimes afterwards, and you know that you're having trouble with somebody, to think about them, I can come back then and work on my stuff. But it's not a premeditated or out there. So long answer, but that's a really important piece.
Hi, my name is Doris.
Hi,
from
Doris.
Port Orange. I heard about the welcoming prayer a long time ago, and I used to do it in and out. You know, I'll do it here and every time I got remembered, I did it. Well, a couple of months ago, I consciously started doing it, and I put it on the visor of my car. You know, so when I got in the car, it's a welcome prayer. You know, then I got out of the car, and now the prayers always seem to be singing a song in my head. You know, so when I go during the day, I have the welcome prayer in my head. And then a situation came up about 2 months ago when somebody said something to me, and I guess, you know, the welcome prayer sings a song in the back of your head, whether you're conscious or unconscious of it. And I completely had no reaction. So it's funny. So you made me laugh when you said you got to go to sleep at night dreaming about the welcome prayer, because it's kind of like still in my brain when I go to sleep.
It is, and that's the invitation I'm going to be with over lunch. Give yourself the ability. Do you like the food? What's it taste like? I hope you talk to other people, because this isn't meant like I'm in a little vacuum, just like what is my experience. But how do I relate to others, but yet stay present to my own inner experience and what God may be doing in me or through you to bring something up in me?
I want to see if I understood you. I have a person in my life for 40 years that has done many, many cruel and mean things over the 40 years to people, etc. And I've come to terms with it as a family member. And he comes to the house, I show my love, and etc., etc. And I found that he's getting better as he gets older. He's mellowing. But when he says things, I find myself being suspect because of the long history of what he's done. So I think that what you're saying is to let go and let God worry about the suspect and not you worry about the suspect.
Or that what begins to happen, in my experience of welcoming, especially with long-term relationships and those family, that we stop expecting the good or the bad and we be open to it changing. Do you know how many people we expect to be as they are? Do you know what I mean? Yes. Like it's that whole thing that Jesus said, like a prophet at home is never... Because is it them, or is it that I always put them in the situation I expect them to react, so they always react? So what welcoming begins to do is to look at myself honestly and to get real honest inside so that their stuff is their stuff. I had it with somebody that what it enabled me to do, they said something really inappropriate, but instead of our normal dance, which we would get into, I simply looked at them and I didn't react, and I could tell they were off. They didn't know what to do because I wasn't reacting. I never saw my part in it, let me put it that way. That they then got justified because my reaction. And I just really looked at them incredulous because I wasn't feeling the need to engage. And you know what happened? They stopped the conversation and walked away, which is always what I wanted to happen. But before, I tried to talk it there. This time, I just didn't pick up the string. So sometimes they do change, sometimes they don't, but we take ourselves out of the mix and we allow people to be as they choose to be. And what I've found is when I'm not rescuing or enabling or getting in there or correcting, they have to decide, is that really what you think? Boy, what a difference it is when I'm not telling you that you can't think like that or you shouldn't think like that or why you're wrong. You know what I mean? So it can change. But it's not about them. It's about us and what God's doing in us. I think of what you mentioned. I think of Therese of Lisieux. You know how she picked that one little old nun who was really nasty and she decided to smile extra sweetly? And the nun eventually said to her, "What is it about me that you find so lovable?" And she knew it was God because she didn't love this, she knew it wasn't her. And that's what I found. Welcoming allows me to be around some people that I would never choose to be around. But that maybe God can do something through me because I'm getting my stuff. And that's what you get to practice. So when we come back, we come back at 12:45. So I hope you bring back your experience so we can have more practice.